Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of What You Know It, the Iconist Podcast. As usual, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. You know the name, you know the game. Hey, hey! On my side, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, the one that's got you dancing all night long and roller skating on Saturdays, or is it Fridays, or is it Mondays? Who knows? Who am I talking about? The one and only.
DJ Rod C. Good day, good afternoon, good morning to wherever you may be. Hope you're doing good. We got something for you. We got something for you. We got someone for you. I wonder who. Barrett, who do we
Yeah.
have?
Well, very simple. We started off with part one. Here we are with part two, and we couldn't do part two because we started part one. So here it is. The one, the only, the man, the other myth, the legend, our brother from across the border, Larry Reclazato. How you doing, Larry?
Pretty good, bro.
Hey, good.
Awesome. 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 And this is part two of what do we call it? The Hat and Tie Brigade?
Yep. Hat and Tie Brigade.
Yes. 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 Okay, I'm good. So we're gonna get down to it because we got so much to cover. We did part one. I hope you all enjoyed part one, and we're taking it way back. And this was suggested by Larry. Thank you very much, Larry, for suggesting these characters that we're gonna get into. And before we do that, manners maketh the man. So we're gonna do a quick rundown of where, what, and here we go. So remember, everyone, you got to go and support the books. The books support the shows, which support the movies, which support the TV shows, which support everything we talk about, right? But you got to go to your comic book stores. And where's comic book stores to go to? Here's three. One, you can go to Wild Comics out in Kitchener. Tell Wes and the guys we said hi. If you want to go a bit closer, you go to Cambridge, you check out A Hero's Tale, tell Andrew and the guys we said hi. And right now, currently, I'm in Montreal. So yes, I did go by Swings, and I told Trevor and the rest of the guys we said hi. So you got to support the books. That's first and foremost. If you want to know what I'm doing, you got to check out barry3d.com. That's my website. You can find everything I'm doing from live shows to this show. And I got to update that. So keep on me to update it because, I've kind of been slacking and I admit that. If you want to find the guys I roll with, that's a touch of gray matter. That's Dave Sokolowski, Zulfa Ali, and myself. And once again, we've got some things coming up in the woodwork. So I always keep saying that, but you got to keep your eyes peeled. Okay. On that note, we're also part of the Subculture Podcast Network, so please check them out and the other shows that are on that network along with ours. If you want to do a podcast, you got to do what we do, and we use Podbean. So if you want to find us, you find us on honest.podbean.com, and that's where you find our show. And of course, please. And remember, we're on YouTube also, right? So like, subscribe, and share. Share the love. Don't let the show be a secret. Rod, where can we find you?
Listen, as I always say, you can find me in the World Wide Web. If you're straightforward, you can find me on Instagram and Mr. Rod C. You can find me there. From there, you can find my tags. You're going to Facebook, go to TikTok. TikTok, you can find me at DJ Rod C1. That's DJ Rod C1. Yeah. Find me around, holler, I'll holler back. Let's go.
Right on. Now, before we go any further, Larry, where can our people find your people and find you?
The best way to get in touch with me is check out Facebook and look for forgotten, obscure, and underrated comic book characters.
Right on. You can't miss it. Now, I know, Larry, you also got some other pages too going, right?
Yep.
So what's some of the other pages you have that you run?
Forgotten TV shows from our childhood, and comic book character duel.
Oh, comic book character duel. All right, okay, all right. So there you go. You got three places you can find Larry Reclazato. Please, remember, respect the rules, have some fun, keep it clean. It's good for everybody, right? All right, cool. And then last but not least, if you two are doing a podcast or you need any kind of media done and you need a digital graphic artist, there's one guy we use, one guy and one man only. He's like the unknown or the hidden member of the group. Who am I talking about, Rod?
J Bird Digital Art.
Mr. Jason Reese, J Bird Digital Arts. If you need anything done, you tell him you heard about him on the Iconist podcast, and he'll give you a discount. The work, our gift to you. All right, there we go. Okay, gentlemen. Well, here we are, the Tie Brigade Part 2. Part 2. And Larry, please give us the honor of who we are starting off with today.
All right. Well, first, we already did some of the heroes back in the 40s that were in the comics. Now we're going to do something a little different. These are the guys that started out either on radio, serials, maybe television, something like that, are pulp characters.
And
we're going to start out with probably the best known. And I'm going to start with the tagline you may have heard, "Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?"
Shadow. The shadow.
The shadow.
Usually I say that when guys show up to try to date my daughter because I know the hormones that lurk in their hearts, right? Something a little bit lower. So I'm always keeping an eye on them. But yeah, but the shadow.
All right. So Shadow started out in 1930 on radio. He was actually not a main character. He was the host of the show. You listen to the old radio shows from the 30s and 40s, and you would sometimes have somebody like the Shadow, the Whistler, and they would introduce a mystery or a crime drama, and that's what the Shadow started out as.
Right.
What happened is people started going, "Hey, I want to read about this guy. I'm going to go to the newsstand," because that's where you got everything back then, and ask for the magazine that has the Adventures of the Shadow. They didn't have it. So they had to create this. And they had to give him a background and all of this from whole cloth.
Hilarious.
When he was just supposed to be a character introducing a radio program.
So hold on, let me get this straight. So you're telling me that we did the Shadow earlier in one of our earlier episodes, and we did that, but I didn't know that tidbit. So you're telling me that the Shadow was not even the main character; he was the narrator of introducing the mysteries, but he had that voice, and this is what the radio programs, because we're going so far back. Yes, people, for you youngins in there was no TV in the living room. It was a radio program, and people at the radio station doing the sound effects. And if there was lightning, they were shaking a foil, and someone was walking had shoes on a table to do the footsteps. So it was a whole sound, all the full effects there. Everything was done live. There was no CGI. There was no, special apartment. It was, let's grab all these objects, get in there and make it. So you're telling me the Shadow was just a narrator, wasn't even a character at this point. People asked about him, and then someone went, "Uh-oh, did anyone ever make the Shadow?" And then had to go and do it. Yes. Brilliant.
Yep. So getting into the story a little bit, and then we'll go and talk about other things. Yeah. So the Shadow is an aviator, probably about World War I. And he decides he wants to fight crime. His real name is Kent Allard. Now, if you watch the Shadow movie, which we'll talk about a little later, with Alec Baldwin, they made him a mercenary instead at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
All right. Then he moves to New York, and he notices that he looks a lot like another guy who's actually a rich socialite, Lamont Cranston. So again, we got three identities: the Shadow, Lamont Cranston, and Kent Allard.
Yes.
Let's remind us of anybody again?
Well, with Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
And yeah. There was
Batman.
Batman, Moon Knight. There was one we covered in part 1 that, yes. Okay.
Now, he is a little bit of a jerk because he makes the real Lamont Cranston leave New York. It's like, I'm going to operate here as Lamont. You go worldwide hopping. I'll make sure the business is run and everything. He basically becomes the rich socialite. All right. Now,
Denny, you got to go.
Yeah, basically. So getting a little past that, got a lot of adventures. He creates this whole group of people like Sherlock Holmes that are his operatives and keep him informed. They touched on that in the movie fairly well.
Yes.
Speaking of movies, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. This is a strange. Now, there was a lot of stuff on the Shadow after the radio show. He actually, when they started making movies, they first made 6 short films, about 10 minutes each. Then, I can't give you exact dates on these right now, but there are 3 big main features.
Yep.
And 3 lesser budget B-movie features of the Shadow.
Right.
And one, I think it's a 15-chapter serial.
Wow.
Then
Wow.
nothing for ages, except for the old radio shows, which you could sometimes get, and still magazines. And he appeared in comics here and there. They even took away his basic hat and tie, scarf look, and put him in a superhero suit in one case, which sucked.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't.
And then we get Alec Baldwin's movie.
Right.
So that's pretty much where we're at. And, that's basically what I wanted to say for the Shadow.
Got it. Okay, so I'm looking up here because I know we've talked about it. So I want to see who we fan casted way back. So I'm going through our list right quick here. But let me ask you, what did you think of Alec Baldwin's movie? Did you think it hit more everything it needed to hit in the Shadow, yes or no? Or did it deviate too much?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good one for what it was. It was a little too humorous,
Right.
for my taste, for the character. But Tim Curry, the rest of the cast, all good. Baldwin did a decent. I personally wouldn't have used him, but I did think it was a decent portrayal, especially when he was playing Lamont Cranston.
Yes. And I think he pulled that part off well. I mean, and that's what we were saying in some of our other podcasts here, is that there's times where you turn around and, like we are blessed today with who we get as casting, budget, everything behind it, from effects, stuff behind the camera, in front of the camera. From when, we were all younger and watching these movies come up, right? So, we're watching like 1977 live action Spider-Man, and we're getting Doctor Strange, like what we see in the movies, Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. So we're getting those Captain America, where he didn't even have the costume till the very end of the proper costume. I mean, to the very end of the.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And the one that never got released, the first Fantastic Four movie, that was.
I was about to say that one too. Yeah. The one we will never speak about.
I own
that. Right. So when we're getting into things like The Shadow at the time, Dick Tracy at the time, it seemed that the studios realized there was they were testing the market. They thought there was something there. They were more committed, I think, then than they were in the past with the properties, and realizing there was an audience for it. So I liked it because, once again, keep in mind, I'm comparing it in the lens when I was back then, not then, here now to then. It was then in then. In the past to the past, if you're looking at Dick Tracy and you're looking, at the stuff I just mentioned, along with The Shadow, you're like, hey, this is not bad. Yeah. They got most of it right.
Yep.
Now you're looking back at it, it's like, okay, we could have done better, right? But once again, society and it's cool to be geeky now. Not anymore. We're in a back room somewhere having comic book meetings.
Yep.
So that was my take on it. I did enjoy it. And I did buy the DVD. I'm not even going to lie. I bought the DVD. I read the comic books. I like that whole noir period. So it's got magic to it.
Yeah. I mean, I own the Phantom, so come on.
Right. That's my whole. So Rod, what'd you think about?
I liked it. I mean, again, you got to remember at the time you're saying exact right things. If we're going to try to compare 2024 to 1924, that's 30 years difference. And even as we say that, this is really the 30th year anniversary. I wonder if there can be some release for that, but that'd be nice. I will watch it because I enjoyed it myself. I really did enjoy it myself. Like, I have no problem that it ever comes on TV, on a rerun and watch it. Like, I have no problem to sit and watch it again because it was entertaining, understanding the depth of what they were trying to 1990, and you're trying to do a noir 1930, 40 type of imagery. Yeah, that's very risque. And to me, they did it successfully. That basically it did catch people, like you said. They are people that are just testing the waters and realizing that there are people out there who's interested. Because, as you said, and you brought back Dick Tracy, I can't remember exactly if it was before or after that, but it was in that time frame. It was
Oh, it's
before,
before?
right?
Okay.
It was before, right? But at least you know that they're testing the waters again. So I did like the visual, the story. It gave you that feel of this is how it would have been radio theater. It's
Right,
giving you
right.
that realism, radio theater type of atmosphere. Yes, we're lucky at the time to have the visual, but the nuances was to give you that type of feel that you can just literally turn your TV on in the living room, go into another
Right.
room, listen, and you know that you would actually be able to see it and get to
Right.
feel like this is how it would have been for the older previous generation, how they would, at their age, at that time, how they would have been in front of a radio, listening in and just like, wow, wow,
Yeah,
that
man.
kind. So yeah, I took in the Shadow very well, and as you say, shout out to my friend, Shadow, and every time I talk to him, saying, you know, evil lurks in our, only the Shadow knows what lurks in the heart of man. That's actually a joke I've been saying to this guy for like the past 20 years because
Oh,
of this. So it's just it shows the shadows. It's there. It's okay.
it's there.
Graded. It's ingraded.
All right.
Got it, man. Every time you say raid, I'm saying suckers never played me. I'm thinking Public Enemy. All right, cool. So Larry, whoa, now I found our picks for the Shadow.
Good.
So who's your fan cast for the Shadow?
All right. I don't know if you would know who this guy is, but the actor I would cast in this, and I do want it as a major motion picture,
Okay.
is named Jeffrey Donovan.
Sri Donovan. Name sounds familiar.
He
Yeah,
did a
so do I.
series about, I don't know, 7 to 10 years ago called Burn Notice.
Oh,
As you said it, I pulled it up and I saw it like, yes. Yeah, he would actually, yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right. All right.
yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well done, sir.
Touche, sir.
Well done. Well,
Very,
well
very,
done.
very well.
So
Very
I
well.
know when we did it, we had a couple of characters, and I had to go back. I see we had more, but we kind of narrowed it down to two. So uh, Rod went with Monty Greer as the Shadow, and I went with Adrian Brody. Because he's got the tall
Hook
lankiness, he's
nose.
got that he's got the nose, right? But he's got the darkness, he's got that. So that's who I was going with was Adrian Brody. Uh, Monty Greer was who Rod went with, and I know we had two, from what I'm seeing here, another two, like I guess, you know, honorable mentions. So I don't know who was whose, but one was John Hamm,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
then the other one was Stephen Knight. So that's no. But that's what we threw it as honorable mentions right there. But I know we narrowed it down when we actually put up the poll. By the time we were using straw poll, we said, I said Adrian Brody, he said Monty Greer. So that's who we're going with for the Shadow. And I think we were all aligned on the sense of it being a movie, from what I remember from that
Yeah. I think so
episode.
too. I wrote
That's
that down.
yeah. We didn't go. I can't remember if I said series or like an Amazon series or a Netflix series to kind of give it time to flesh out. Because sometimes I lean that way. But
Mm.
Hmm.
yeah, there we go. Okay, I like this. I like
All right.
this.
Now let's get to our second guy.
Yes.
All right. Now this character was actually made to compete in the pulp magazines with the Shadow. They even went as far as having the person who wrote it use a name similar to the person who was writing the Shadow stories. This is 1933, and the character is called the Spider. Now he starts out in the suit and tie.
Right.
All right, but then later on, they give him this scarring makeup face, vampire teeth, cape, webbed cape, weird stuff. He starts out, he's another rich guy.
Yeah.
But he starts out as a major in the army when he first is introduced, and then after the war, he goes out and decides he's going to fight crime. His name is Richard Wentworth. He also has another identity again,
Right.
which is kind of a street musician named Tito, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Calepe.
I think I'll go with it. I think I'll go with that.
He's
I think that's
a
right.
violinist and a pianist. Um, Now, the thing about Richard Wentworth is he's one of the early ones with a sidekick. And his sidekick is Ram Singh, who considers Richard as a bit above most men. They call him the master of men, the spider, the master of men. And that's kind of the way his sidekick looks at it. You don't get a lot of that, but we know that Ram can fight. Of course, it's the 30s, so they're not dealing with Asian martial arts, especially not on the subcontinent of India.
Yeah.
So, now this character, pulp magazines, and he only got 2 serials. That was it. But very good character. If you can, they did do a little bit of radio, but not much. It's really hard to find his radio programs. Basically, you got to read the pulps if you can get a hold of them, and if you can get, I had to get, of course, pirate copies of the serials, unfortunately, because that's the only way to find them, it seems. But if you can get them, they're very good.
Okay,
right.
And I'm seeing a picture here that's hilarious. Well, I mean hilarious, right? Because of how it is. And so it says a polarized publicity still picture. The spider returns.
Yes.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yep. That's when they added that stupid cape.
Yeah, and it's black with like a red, stitching on it to make it look like a web.
Yeah.
With the matching mask and right. Okay.
Yeah. So
right on.
That's the spider, and you guys. I don't know if you guys have anything on him, but if you don't, we can get into the casting. Otherwise, go for it.
Oh, no, I'm just looking at him right now, and like it just off the cuff is like so. Once again, so he was, and you were telling me a story. So that's the part I think it should be interesting, right? Explain why the spider came about, because I know we had that conversation, but you didn't tell people that are listening. I know who was doing the shadow, certain events happen, and this is why the spider came into, but I'll let you tell the detail.
It was another magazine company. The Shadow's like the top seller. Now remember, this is before comics were anything other than cut out strips from the newspaper put together into a book.
Right.
All right. So you didn't have superheroes yet.
No. When I thought it wasn't, didn't someone have to stop doing the shadow because they went to the war and then or like mixing up my characters?
That's the spirit. We'll get into that next part.
Then I'm shutting up. I'm getting my stuff wires crossed. My bad. My bad.
But in this case, it was like, okay, we've got all these different publishing companies. One's got the shadow.
Right.
It's the top sales. Everybody's looking for it. We need some. Another company comes along. We need something to compete. And that's how the spider came along.
Got it. It's like, you got Aquaman? We got Namor. Say something. No. I know it's the other way around.
Namor came first.
Yeah, it is the other way around. Yeah. But you got to get the gist of it, right? It's
everybody steals from everybody. We know this.
Of course. So no, it seems cool. I mean, and it's very similar and stuff like that. So obviously, I know the difference. Like the Shadow, he had a full network of different people that he used to use to help him, figure what he has to do. Be there. He had a driver, right?
Oh, that's another thing. The spider's best friend is like the chief of police, and he wants to get the spider, and he thinks that
here we go.
Ritworth is the spider, but he can't prove it.
Prove it.
So he keeps telling him, if I prove it, I'm going to take you to jail.
Right. So it's just cat and mouse going on at the same time. Now that's an interesting dynamic. So the Shadow didn't have sidekicks. He had a network. The spider had a sidekick, and he didn't have a network, but he had, I guess, like colleagues.
Yes.
Now, side of his sidekick of Ram, because I see there was other 2 people here in the picture, did they know his identity or did not know? Oh, so they had no idea. Okay. All right then. I like this. Okay. All right. I'm looking at the picture. And he seems to be a carbon copy. So yeah, go ahead. Would you cast first of all, before you cast it? How would you see this play out? Movie,
Be a
TV
movie.
show, another movie?
It's going to be another movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's got to start, maybe it'll flesh into something else, but I want this on the big screen.
All right, all right.
And for my spider, I need somebody who can play ugly, but is kind of handsome.
Yeah,
Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto. Zachary.
Siler.
Siler.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Our Spock.
Yeah, yeah. In the remakes, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And for Ram,
yeah.
Few people know that he actually does some martial arts. Cal Penn.
Al Penn.
Harold
Oh,
and Kumar.
Oh my
Right.
gosh. Yes.
There he is.
Yes. Holy crap. So you almost have a whole Star Trek casting going in there. Okay. If you right. Yeah, that'd be interesting though. And yeah, especially after Cowboy Bebop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Cowboy, no, not Cowboy Bebop. But yeah, Calvin. Sorry, getting my two guys confused. Yes, the other guy. Yes, okay, got it. Yes, my bad. My apologies. All right, I didn't think of anyone, but I like that. So you would still cast it movie timepiece, obviously to represent the time,
Oh, definitely.
right? And then what could be the main? So here's my last two questions for you on the spider, right? Because I don't know enough of it. So one, are you going to keep the part of the main story, the catalyst, as you mentioned, that the police, the chief of police or the commissioner is trying to prove that he really is a spider and bring him down?
Oh, yes.
That's a nice
All right. And then who's his main nemesis? Who's the one villain that stands out for him? Do you think you have anyone in mind or?
Well, unfortunately, with a lot of these, they didn't have a lot of main nemesises then. It was like
Right.
maybe you had maybe some guy who was a mad scientist. Sometimes you would have a crime lord. It was always something a little different.
right.
His biggest thing was he was really into pre-organized crime, organized crime. You'd have a gang in a city, but it wasn't like now that was shaking people down, things like that.
Okay.
Maybe burglaries, stuff like that. I'd not quite do that way. I'd go after probably it's 33. We're going to start dealing with the beginnings of infiltrators into our government from Germany.
Almost Spy
Okay.
Smasher.
Yeah, almost.
Ha ha! I like it. All right, I'm on board for it. I'm on board for it. 2 for 2. Okay. So,
Like that.
all right then. Rod, any comments or words on this one?
No, I like it, especially when you're asking the question about the commissioner and the aspect of it. I would definitely want to see that. To have him basically have to play a lot of mind game because he knows he has to be at least 3 steps ahead.
Mhm.
Support him, help out, save the city and everything along that line, but still just take away just enough information that he can't figure out that I'm Wentworth. No. You don't know who I am. Don't you worry about it. I'm not Wentworth. But let's go and help you out anyways.
And I would actually start him at the beginning of the movie in the hat and tie, the suit and tie.
And do flashbacks.
But no, almost, we can do some flashbacks to his army days and so on. But by the end, I'm going to have him start doing the master of disguise, the makeup to make him look frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not going to do the cape. I might do that. I might do the webbing on a trench coat.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, all right. A little bit of a different look. Okay, I like that. Yeah. And here's what I would throw in a little tidbit. That's because, and I'm playing off your idea, because you said that he's got to be like looking for infiltrators coming over from Germany at the time. Let it be that the commissioner is one of them. But that's the plot twist that you find out at the end.
Maybe. Yeah, that's possible.
That's my 2 cents. Yeah, that's my 2 cents about it. And he can't prove it either. So like maybe one can't prove one's identity and he can't prove the other identity, but they almost know. So they kind of keep going around in this kind of little weird dance. It's not going to be like done at the end of the movie. It's like, I think he is. Like, can you prove it?
Yeah. Is this guy a member of the brown shirts or what?
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay, I like that. All right.
Nice.
What do we got as number 3? Now, number 3 on the list is
Number 3, we're skipping ahead to 1936. Started on a local Detroit radio station. Then went nationwide. Then in the 60s, he got his own TV show. The Green Hornet.
Have to. Yeah. Made sense. Made sense. I saw the segue. I saw the alley-oop right there.
Yeah.
From the spider to him, I said, oh, yeah, he's going
to. So, a few things most people don't know about the Green Hornet, but some people do. The Green Hornet, original Green Hornet, Britt Reed, is created by the same person who created the character that is supposed to be Britt Reed's great uncle, the Lone Ranger.
Yep.
John Reed and Britt Reed. So, they actually refer to it in one of the radio episodes. Britt's father mentions riding along with his dad, with his uncle. And here's the thing: when they're doing it, guess what's playing in the background? Is the music.
The Lone Ranger
William Tell Overture.
Yeah.
That the
Easter eggs before they were popular.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
That's
so. Wow. Because Lone Ranger was a radio show prior to the Green Hornet.
Yes.
Right.
And they needed a second one, so why not? All right. So.
All right. Go ahead, Larry.
A few things about this one. This one had, after its along with some of its radios, but after also, they had 2 serials of the Green Hornet. The French made 10 shorts.
French.
Just for the French theaters.
Yeah.
So this is like the first one to go international. 1 feature film, which is current. And then you had the TV series in 66, which a lot of people thought was a spin-off of Batman. Not quite.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. No. And that was the introduction.
Although they did do a
crossover, a 2-part crossover episode, and that was and the Green Hornet was the introduction of Bruce Lee to North American audiences at the time. Like, it was so popular back in China, they called it Kato instead of the Green Hornet because of its popularity.
The Kato show. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, do you know who played Kato in the original serials?
No.
Mako. You ever see Conan the Barbarian?
What?
Oh! Conan.
Yeah. You're right. Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Jeez. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
And also during World War II, they changed them from being Japanese to being Filipino.
Interesting.
In the radio shows.
Wokeness back then. Okay.
Yep. All right.
So who you going with?
All right. Well, first I'm going to make this a new TV series.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're going. So first of all, it's a new TV series for you. Now, so hold on. Before you go on any further, are you talking traditional TV series, or are you talking something like a streaming service like Netflix or Amazon or along those lines?
The CW was still doing things, right?
Yeah.
Like they did with Flash?
Right. In the beginning, yes.
That's what I would have done.
Okay. I want to make sure I got the feel of the show. All right. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. For my Brit and Hornet, Chris Wood.
Okay.
You would know him as Mon-El on Supergirl.
Oh. Okay.
And for my Kato.
Right.
And I hope I'm saying this correct. Joe Seo. From Cobra Kai.
Yes.
Plays Kyler Park.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So here's a couple of questions I have for you for your series.
Yes.
So question number one, are you going to make a reference or more of a reference? Oh, sorry, would you like to see more of a reference of the Lone Ranger?
Yes.
Right. Like he's still
Okay.
going to keep him in that traditional role. That's his great uncle. And you want to see, so like, maybe the hat in the background or something,
I would do something
reference.
like they did in I don't know if you've ever read the Now comic update of the Green Hornet that came out in the late 80s, early 90s.
I only read a couple of the issues. I didn't read many of them. So I really like the first
Okay.
3 or 4 issues. Yes.
Now, I'm not quite gonna do that. I may put that later,
Okay.
maybe in a future one. But
Right.
in that one, what you had was Brit's nephew taking up the Green Hornet identity.
Man.
Yes.
First it's the older nephew. He dies, then the younger nephew. Now, in the first issue, you've got the younger nephew, got a more of a windbreaker vest, so on and such for the outfit. And there's 2 things I loved about it. One, when he's going through the office of his uncle, up on the big portrait behind the desk is a masked Western rider. It's not the traditional mask, it's more of the grifter type mask.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, the cowboy is like, yeah, there's my great uncle.
Right.
Yeah. And then the second part of it that I loved about that one is at this point, you now have a third Kato. You had the original Kato still around, and he's the father of a boy and a girl. In this comic, the girl takes over the Kato identity.
Exactly. That's what I was going to ask you next. Right. Okay.
And when she showed up, because this line has to be used somewhere. The Green Hornet, third Green Hornet, whatever you want to call him, comes up and goes, "I don't need a sidekick." At which point she kicks him and says, "That's a sidekick. I'm your partner."
I remember that line. Yes. Yes. I remember that line.
That line has to be somewhere.
That was yeah, it's a good line. You can't throw that line away. But yeah, to your point, I would like to see more, I guess, of the family ties together. So I mean, one, we know the Green Hornet, and the Lone Ranger, but the Lone Ranger, him too, had a partner, right? So now does that Tonto exactly? Does Tonto's lineage or ancestors show up at some point?
We never learn anything about it.
But it's still a possibility there if you wanted to add it, right? That to me, that's like I call carte blanche. Like that door is open.
Now, of course, the thing is, the Green Hornet basically operates in Chicago.
Yep.
And Tonto and the Lone Ranger would have had to be in Texas.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Because the story of the Lone Ranger is a group of Texas Rangers get basically ambushed, and he's the only one who lives.
Right.
Right.
So.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, we might not, but maybe, in one of his adventures, we can find out what happened to him. But all right. Yeah. And here's my last aspect for you. Certain things, certain shows, certain series have an iconic thing that stands out. The car with
Black Beauty.
Horn. Okay. So you're still keeping and with the traditional
gotta have Black Beauty.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if you want to
tricking it out.
Car. Yeah. Oh, of course. Just to be tricked out. But I didn't know if you were still going to keep with that classic body frame of the car. Were you planning on maybe using a different type of car? Right? Like that's what I said. There's always a Batmobile, but a Batmobile looks different depending who's drawing it or who's producing that movie to make it fit with it. So that's the thing.
Remember, the Green Hornet's main thing is he's playing that he's a criminal.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Infiltrating other criminal gangs.
Right.
And, so he's got to have a classy car.
That's right. He's not going to drive around in a Mustang, so to speak.
Now it's got to be a limo type thing.
A limo type car.
Or
right.
Continental,
Right. Right. Okay.
And then but you trick it out. You put in, like, I remember in one of the comics, I
Edges.
don't know how this would work, but they would run with these green lights that only Kato could see because he was using green filtered lenses.
Okay, yeah. That's possible.
So
That's probably easy for them to do. So and
yeah.
that's why I was asking, right? Because that stands out. Like if there's two limos in let's say fandom that
Yeah.
stand out for me. And that's one is the one from the Green Hornet, right, with Kato. And the other one is from Thunderbirds with Lady Penelope.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Like that's a
Great.
classic limo right there, right? Like
It
that's
is.
her car and it was tricked out, you
Yep.
know? Okay, so that's okay. All right. I like that. So you got the person who's playing them. I
Yeah.
agree. I don't have anyone that would play it, but I like that you're going CW feel early, how they did the Flash at the start off of it. I want to see that. And like really, I'm talking like they got to keep it season one. I know as Flash has progressed, it changed from season to season, but I think season one had a nice feel to it, pacing,
Mhm.
and they would put up things where, where Barry Allen looked at tire tracks one time, in like season episode one or episode two, and it actually he's like, oh, is this the type of tire track it is? And it put up the model of the car, like it put a graphic on there, so the audience I know, like, hey, this is what he sees. This is how good he is. He's looking at it and can tell you it's a
Yeah.
Ford Mustang, whatever, because of the tire. So I hope they incorporate a little bit more of something like that, you know, visually wise to make it
Right.
more fun.
Well,
And of course, yeah,
you bring in Brett's fact that he's the publisher of a newspaper, so he's got resources.
right. Now that's the thing. Now, can he still be a newspaper? Because newspapers are not like how they were years ago, but internet stations, podcast studios have come up more popular. And I'm not just saying because we have one. I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
just how things have shifted, or a TV studio. So does it evolve that way?
Well, that's a good question because I'm not sure where I want to place this in time period. Do I want
I
to
was
go back
wondering.
to
I
the
was going to ask you about
30s,
that. I was going to ask you if you're going to
or do I
kind of
want to
keep it
update it? I
original
don't know.
or bring it
Right.
up.
Okay.
Because
Yeah. Okay.
if I do it right for the timeline,
Mhm.
I'd have to do the 30s.
True.
Hmm.
True.
But if we skip ahead and do the third Green Hornet
Right.
and then refer back, we've got the Lone Ranger, we've got Brent Reed Sr., or
Right.
Brett Reed Sr., yeah, and so on. So there's a lot of options.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Of course. Of course. So I didn't know if you were going. Sorry, and I was kind of assuming maybe it was more
So
present day. So that's my
I
apologies.
think
So yeah.
if I go with if I go with the 30s,
Mhm.
which I kind of want to feel the noir
Okay.
feel personally,
Right.
then it's got to be a newspaper.
Okay.
If we go more modern, then I think we do that. It started as a newspaper, and now the Daily Sentinel is an internet company, like
Yes.
Yeah.
basically like
Just
the New York Times, the Washington Post have
Right.
pretty much mostly become.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can
Got
even
it.
you can like take aspects of it, like even if we're gonna say you're taking aspects from the Flash, the same way that on a TV show how Iris now has like an internet newspaper,
Yep.
publishing and online and all that kind of stuff. So we can still have the newspaper type of feel of what you're trying to portray, but it's up to date and now everybody's on an app. You're logging in, that kind of scenario. So like that could be the tie-in, or at least a segue, so it seems a little bit more modern, but still has the feel of the original newspaper type of, the owner of
Right.
a newspaper publishing type of business.
And we might pull an Arrow last episode thing for a spinoff. Start in the 30s, go a
Hmm.
couple of years, jump ahead to the 70s.
Oh yeah.
He's
Right. And then you can do like callbacks. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Like that there is a good few series with the characters and you still, yeah, okay. Right. Got it. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right.
all
I
right.
don't have one for that, but all right. So who do we have left for
Oh,
the
the one
episode? But
thing
there's
I'm
still more to
gonna
go.
say
Yeah.
before we
Yeah.
go there, I do
Yeah.
gotta say though, I cannot stand Seth Rogen's adaptation.
there's certain things we don't talk about, right? So we don't talk about the Seth Rogen adaptation. We don't talk about Halle Berry as Catwoman. The best thing about that movie is the poster. I've said it before, and I'll stand by it. Sorry, Halle, like you as an actress, did not like. I don't know who greenlit that project. Steel, Shaquille O'Neal as Steel. I'll take that over Halle Berry Catwoman. You tried. Once again, it's not on you, Shaq. That was the white writing. Okay, Meteor Man was better then. So yeah, no. Seth Rogen, eh, Seth. The only thing that Seth Rogen brought to it was maybe more awareness to modern audiences,
Yes.
but he did not have the spirit of it. He didn't have, he was still the weed smoking guy, and
right. Well, it was still it was too comical. It was too comical.
That was one part of it, but my biggest problem is the same problem I had with the first Mission Impossible movie. You don't take the hero of the TV series, or even, because, all right, Mission Impossible.
Right.
The head of the IMF task force is a turncoat? No. The DA in Green Hornet, who's the best friend of Britt Reed, not going to be the villain.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I agree with you. That was just done for shock value as opposed to advancing the story.
Right. So
yeah, no.
All right.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So our final guy. Now this one never had a radio show, never had a comic. The only thing that was ever done was one serial in 1943. But it had a really interesting twist. This was called The Masked Marvel.
Okay.
All right. The twist is, now, prior to that, you often had the villain wasn't unmasked until the last. Right? All right.
Mm-hmm.
No, in this case, so you have this, almost FBI-ish task force after some Japanese saboteurs. And you don't know who the Masked Marvel is. You know he's a member of the team. That's all you know. Until the final episode, where he gets unmasked. So I could tell you who was the member, or I could not.
Right.
But I will tell you this.
Uh-huh.
The actor who's unmasked never was in the costume until the last episode. It was a stuntman the entire time throughout all of to the point, this guy not only played the Masked Marvel,
right, okay,
running from one of the bad guys, but he played the bad guy chasing him.
Lead and deception, smoke and mirrors, red heron alert, red heron alert. Very nice. Very nice.
Now, the stuntman's name was Tom Steele.
That's a wicked name, though.
I know. Great name for a stuntman.
Right? Steele, Tom Steele. Like, that's an action hero right there. Oh, my. Okay, all right, sorry. Go on, Larry. Go on. Okay, so I get sidetracked.
Do you want the name of who gets unmasked or no?
Not yet. Not yet. Let's tease this idea in my head. Let it marinate. So first of all, I got it straight. So the actor gets cast. He's in there. Does the actor know originally, or is it anywhere near that he knew he was supposed to be the Masked Marvel?
They don't know. It's never said in any of the write-ups I've read.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if they say, so when do you guys be the Masked Marvel? Here's a cast. Stuntman's going to do it for now, and we'll let you guys know at the end. Like, I could see them doing it in this day and age, so no one can leak anything. It's like, who's playing Superman? Oh, it's this person. It's like, who's playing the Masked Marvel? This person's a cast. This person's a cast. This person's a cast. Who is he? We don't know. They didn't even tell us the script. We didn't get page 100 of the 100-page script. We don't even know. So I wasn't sure if the actor knew himself.
With these serials, because of the way they came out, usually it was like one every couple of weeks.
That's right.
Excuse me. Usually you would have these guys get the script a few days before they shot.
Right.
Exactly.
And then they'd only do 1-2 takes
Hmm.
because they're on a
You got
budget,
it,
man.
right? Yeah. Shoestring serials. That's what they're called. Shoestring budget.
Yep.
Those were the. Okay, so I like this. So the whole time they're in there, so we don't know. Mass Marvel's going. Stuntman is playing the Mass Marvel, and he has to give it up to who the true actor is going to be in there. So give me a little bit more of the background, not the actors. Like, what's the back? So you're saying they're all working together on a team. So is this taking place during like World War II, or
It's
World War
pre-World War. It's pre-World War II, but it's Japanese saboteurs or Asian
Okay,
saboteurs. They don't really say.
right.
You know.
Taking place on American soil.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And they're a team trying to find these infiltrators and saboteurs and try to stop them.
Yeah, they're like
And then,
FBI.
all right. And what's the Mass Marvel's role in all this?
Basically, he does a lot of the action stuff I mean, think of it like the Untouchables. Um, but a lot of these guys aren't getting into areas because I mean, they're dressed as American, basically investigators. So this guy is getting into areas undercover. He's doing things that they're not supposed to be doing.
All right. Vigilante style. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, oh,
All right. So now, who was the Mass Marvel? First of all, give us all the names, if you can, of team, right? Was it a big team, first of all? If it's a big team, okay, I got it. But
it was a fairly large team. I think there were like 6 or 7 guys. Let me
okay.
And you're gonna make me put my readers on. I hate you.
I'm sorry, Larry. I'm sorry. Oh, actually, I have names here. I can do this here for you.
I should see it right now. Yeah.
Right. So I know I'm not going to read out the names of the actors. I'm just going to read out who they played in there.
Okay.
Right. So so there was a Martin Crane,
Yes.
Alice Hamilton, Mira Sakma, Jim Arnold, Frank Jeffries, Killer Mace, because that's when those names are popular. I remember that.
Yeah.
Bob Barton, Harry
Mhm.
Morton, and Warren Hamilton.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay, got it. So fairly sizable team. I think I see an Easter egg here, but it's all right. All right, fairly sizable team. Okay, I'm with that. So each of them had their own thing they had to do on this team. That's not what they had to do. Got it. So who out of them was the Masked Marvel? I had to do that.
David Bacon's the actor portraying Bob Barton.
Martin's a Masked Marvel. Okay, so obviously, once again, teams got to do what they got to do. They know the Masked Marvel exists. They just don't know who's the Masked Marvel.
Right.
And they know he's kind of helping them, but he's, like I said, he's doing things that aren't really in their venue
Hmm.
now. Yeah, I mean, they weren't as much in, rights as we have now, and they violated rights all the time back in the 30s and 40s. Let's be honest. But they did have things that they knew, okay, this could blow our case.
Of course. There was a line, and then there was the limit. They would cross the line, but wouldn't go past the limit, blow their case. Right? That's how I feel about it. Okay, so he's the Masked Marvel. Nobody knows. They're all trying to come on camera, just on me. There we go. Trying to figure it out and see what happens next.
There is the Masked Marvel.
Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. Rah. So the Masked Marvel. Okay, I like the concept of this, and this makes me feel like the last Judge Dredd movie, right? And this is
Dredd?
Judge Dredd, right? And I'll
No,
tell
not
you
the Dredd.
Oh, just Dredd. Sorry, Dredd. Yes, Dredd. So with Dredd, because the actor was so committed to the role that he knew what the source material was, and they're like, I'm not taking off my helmet. He never, not one scene, did his helmet come off, break. You never saw his face. He always had it from the nose down. He had that grimace, that and he refused to keep in line with the project. That I respect. He said, nope, he's never taken it off in the comics. I'm not going to pull the Sylvester Stallone version of this. The helmet stays on.
Well,
Right?
you had a couple of things about that.
Mhm.
First, you had, I believe, a British actor playing it.
Yes.
Um,
It's Carl Urban.
yeah, Carl Urban.
Oh, Urban. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, who I believe is in The Boys now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Star Trek as well. Yep.
yep.
He plays
And
Bones.
yes,
Bones. Yep.
but great as Butcher. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the thing with him is not only did he know 2000 AD because he read it, but it said, I don't know how accurate this is, but I talked to some people who were on set, that while they were shooting, he wouldn't take the helmet off.
Hmm.
If they had scenes, he wasn't taking the helmet off.
It's genius and it's true if you think about it for half a second, because you never saw any behind the scenes pictures, whatever, with him with the helmet off. Like, sometimes you'll see certain stars walk into the scene and they might have the mask off, of their costume or their headpiece off. And you're like, oh, so there he is without and he never did it. He never did it. I like it. Okay.
Get it now.
Yep. All right, then. Okay. So that's what, see, for myself personally, I'm not sure where you're going. For myself personally, I don't want to never know who it is until, let's say, it's like season finale, boom, and then you could do a 2-parter, 3-parter on it, and then I'm good.
All right. So, getting to there,
Uh,
I want to do this as a limited series on like Amazon Prime, somewhere I can curse. And,
yes.
All right. And as far as my casting, you probably won't know this actor. You might. His name's Noah Mills.
Noah Mills. Okay.
Have you watched NCIS Hawaii?
Yes.
He plays Jesse Boone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
second in command of the unit on that show.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Okay. Yeah.
But I am
like
going to have
that.
to cast a lot of guys in there that are going to have similar build.
Of course, because you don't want to give it up. You don't want to have say, oh, the characters, everyone's like 5'5", and then there's one character, the Masked Marvel, 6'2", and then the
Right.
6'2" guy shows up and like, aha, worst disguise ever.
So, but yeah,
I like
think
that.
he could play this because he's playing a government agent in one show. He's doing very well. He's humorous, but he's serious.
Right.
And I think this guy's got the chops for it.
Okay. I like that. I'll actually go as far as, who I could see doing something like that. And I mean, could be off. And I don't know the actor's name, but it's easy to find. He's playing currently Magnum PI. He's the latest version of Magnum PI. He played.
Oh, the new guy?
Yeah. He also played Diablo in Suicide Squad.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Like, when
Yeah,
he
I
gets
can
all
see
the
that.
fire, yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
one moment we see him bald with tattoos, next minute we see him in the hair. Okay. I think
I could see him in both.
Right.
Yeah.
I think,
Jane
right?
Hernandez. Jane Hernandez.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I like him. I think one of the guys I'd make as one of the agents is the kid who's playing Yui on The Boys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice.
I got some
Nice.
ideas.
I see that. So you're going, as I said, limited series, Amazon. We can be a little bit more adult with the content. Obviously, it's still going to be the timepiece in there.
Yeah, 4 or 5 guys.
Mhm.
Who is the Masked Marvel?
Hmm.
Maybe even call the show that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who's the Masked Marvel? Put that homage to it, because even when I'm looking at the look, the Masked Marvel, yeah. And I mean, let's say you're right. I think you're on the head. You're on the nose with it as a limited series, because the series only had I'm seeing something here, 12 chapters, right?
Yep.
So if it's going 12 chapters, you don't need to go beyond that, because once you get that big reveal of who the Masked Marvel is, you could do a quick epilogue to say, okay, what happened after all the characters after fighting him, finding out who it was, and then wrap up the series, and that could be a nice one and done. The for what we've talked about today so far with those characters, where I'll kind of stretch the limits on some of them would be one, I'd like to see if we're going to do like TV, movie, and all that. Then, of course, me being a toy collector, you got to have the toys. But
Right.
maybe a
But I'm
couple of
going to
video
update
games.
this. I'm going to update this.
All right. All right.
I'm going to bring it to current and make an anti-terrorist unit.
Oh, shoot. So this one you're taking and definitely doing at present time, anti-terrorist unit. Oh my gosh.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Especially with what's happening in the world today. Let's be honest. It fits. Really fits. And having someone try, okay, it totally fits. You can even change the look. Not too much. Gotta respect it. We gotta respect where it comes from. Like keep, elements of the original character there. I still, even with that line, I would say, give me that. And if you play it right with marketing, as I always say, a couple of comic books if you need to, some toy figures, that's great. Give me a video game.
Yeah.
Give me some type of video game. Play out who's the Masked Marvel and almost like where's Carmen Sandiego, and right, but not like a word. Still I want action in it. I want to feel like Splinter Cell to a certain degree. I like how Splinter Cell always played out with its storyline, cooperative stories, the missions. Their maps. I always found them interesting, especially the more later games, especially some of the earlier ones. The earlier ones, fans love them. I got on board, but how they expanded that world, I thought was a lot of fun. So I think that, the Saboteur and all that could add that stress level when you have to get past certain levels. Oh, I mean,
So do a game. If I'm going to modify this into a game, I'm going to have it that in the game, you're going to have various different people who could be it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Turn it out. And two, I'm going to do something similar to like how Resident Evil does. Okay, you have puzzles and you have action.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So you got to think and you got to fight.
That's it. And that's why I meant because Splinter Cell's not, it's a lot of fighting. There's some thinking, but there's more, you're right. In Resident Evil, there's more puzzles solved in Resident Evil. And of course, you get the music, it adds to the ambiance, and all of a sudden, done, you're like, oh, shoot, you almost dropped the joystick and you keep going back. And I say joystick, joypad, whatever, you young kids today. Okay. That's awesome. That is awesome. I like all four choices. I like where you went. It surprised me on the last one that you want to bring it modern, but I like it. I really see why, and it really, out of all of them, that fits more
sense.
of a modern. It makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. More than maybe the Green Hornet. I really think this now, with everything that's going on, good or bad, there's things to kind of take that aspects that's real, throw it into the story, take actual events, throw it into the story. Let's go. And we get something like Assassin's Creed where they take real locations, but it's fantasy mixed together. I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Larry, you've done it once again, you mad genius. Touche, sir. Well done.
Well, wait till we get to part 3 when we get more modern.
Oh, man, I'm excited. So,
Pat and Tie Brigade.
Pat and Tie Brigade Part 3 is coming, people. Hold on to your horses. We're going to get there. Rod, any last words?
Hold on to your hats is really what it is.
Hold on to your hats.
Hold on to your hats. We're halfway through. If you like the first two, third and fourth one, you can't hold on. Make sure you hit that follow button. Hit that follow button. Let everybody know what's coming down the pipeline. It's gonna be fun. This is going nice. I'll say that right now. I can't wait.
Same here. Larry, any last words before we get into part 3? When this picks up again. Any last words for today?
All I gotta say is, have fun, read comics, and tune in.
Thank you. Nice. And on my behalf here, from all of us here from the Icons Podcast, remember, like, subscribe, and share. And remember, this whole world was created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on reading. We're out. Find those old serials. Go to your library. They're there. Believe it or not, they're there. All right, then. So then, sir, the Masked Marvel, away! Shadow knows.
Where's my cereal? I'm hungry.
Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of Barry?
No, I'm leaving the hearts of the cereal there. I don't know what's in that box. I hope I get a toy next. Cereal.
Oh my God.
Talk about it.
Well,